Thanks, Willie. So when I was in middle school, I attended a small private school in the suburbs of Salt Lake City. And it was a different type of school. It was very small, yet our class sizes were big. And so my classroom was average of 75 people. The way that we did it was uh, lecture style. And everyone from age 12 to 18 was in the same room. It was crazy fun. And at our school, the big emphasis was on history, world history, political history, everything. And every once in a while, we would have our guest speakers come in and they would share their knowledge, their expertise, what they do for a living, different things that have to do with history. And we would learn about that. My favorite people to listen to his name is Yosi Ginnat. He's from Israel. And he, along with the owner of our school, they would lead youth groups back in the 80s to Israel. And they would go study abroad and they would partake in helping on archaeological digs and touring and getting to be a part of the culture. And I yearned for that. From the first time I heard them talk about it until, I was 12 when I started going there, 12, 13, and I heard about it for years. So when the time came, when I was 15, that they were actually planning this trip, it had been over 10 years since they had taken any kids and students over. I was bound and determined to be on this trip. The only thing is, it costed $7,000 a student to go. The trip lasted 3.5 weeks, and the $7,000 covered your housing, your airfare, all of that, and 2 meals a day. So on top of the $7,000, I had to earn at least $1,000 more for my trinkets, my spending money, and 1 meal a day, which was usually lunch. So the challenge came, and I, along with about 4 other kids in my class, really wanted to go, but our parents couldn't afford to just front all that money for us. So we accepted the challenge. We committed that we were going to go, and our parents thought we were crazy. We had a lot of people watching us and a lot of people just kind of like hesitant on if this was actually going to be pulled off. Me and my friends, we spent countless hours just hanging out, devising a plan, trying to come up with who we could talk to, where we could go, how we were going to earn this money. And we kind of said, okay, collectively, we have to earn 24 grand, right? And so we didn't want to go alone. We wanted to go with our friends because it's more fun. Challenge was accepted. We thankfully were able to get some assistance and guidance. So we put together and put into action this plan. We wrote up letters explaining what we would be doing on our trip, where all we were going, the things we'd be learning, and we had an offer for that when we got home, we would come and do a presentation to that person, to their company, about what we did and what we accomplished. People donating to this could get it for a tax write-off, but often they had to have this kind of proof of what they were donating to for educational purposes. So we went out. We spent over a year. We would take 2 to 3 days a week. There'd be 4 of us. My friend Jessica was the first to get her driver's license, and she had a family car she could use. So 4 of us, Jessica and I, and these 2 boys, we would cram in this car every day at lunch, and we would take off and go deliver some letters and go. Ultimately, your goal was to speak to the people in person at these different businesses. We would come up with our game plan of where we were going, and we would just venture out. Looking back, we were a bunch of goofballs. We were not very professional, but we had this desire and this faith that we were going to go. Our faith was that we were going to make this happen, and we were going to spend 3 weeks together in the Middle East doing amazing things. So long story short, lots of other details into there and ups and downs. We made this happen. It might have been the week before takeoff, but we got our final payments in and we were able to go on this trip. And this taught me so many lessons in my life, because not only did that stop there, I went on to go on 2 more trips with this group throughout high school, because I had that skill now. Nothing felt impossible. And I was one of very few that went. I went on all 3 trips through that school in that short 3 years that they were able to take students over. And I raised over $24,000 just alone in that year and a half, because we did it as a group the first time, but then I ventured out and I did it on my own the next time. And this taught me that if I have faith that I'm going to do something, I have faith, I have the desire, I can do it. But the big thing is, faith without action is kind of hopelessness. We have to have that desire and put in the work and effort and those action steps to get there. So how do we do that? We've all had a time in our life where we've desired something so badly, and we can feel it tangible. At least for me, I think about it, I dwell on it, I feel it in my bones that this is just I'm going to achieve it. It's already mine. And so how are you going to do it? I love Think and Grow Rich and their philosophies taught in here. And I'm going to read a little quote from it in here. He says, "Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into spiritual equivalent, and transmits it into infinite intelligence, as in the case of prayer. The emotions of faith, love, and sex are the most powerful of all the positive emotions. When the 3 are blended, they have the effect of coloring the vibration of thought in such a way that it is instantly reaches the subconscious mind, where it is changed into its spiritual equivalent, the only form that induces a response from the infinite intelligence. Love and faith are psychic, related to the spiritual side of man." And then it says, "The mixing or blending of these 3 emotions has the effect of opening a direct line of communication between the finite thinking mind of man and the infinite intelligence." So when we take our faith and put it to action through our desires and make that action plan moving forward, anything becomes possible, because these emotions in us are so powerful that they drive almost everything we do, whether it's good, bad, whatever. You have, these desires in you that's the only reason you're taking action steps, whether it's upward or not. So putting these together into action, you can literally accomplish anything you put your mind to. Doesn't mean you have to do it alone, but it can give you it'll open up your mind to the possibilities of who you need to talk to, where to go, and how to put this plan into action. If I hadn't put that plan into action, I wouldn't be where I am today, because I've used these same principles in my life from when I was a teenager. I didn't know what I was doing then, right? I didn't have this book in my life then at, 13 to 15 years old. But as I've learned this, it's made so much more sense, and I've been able to repeat it in my life. And that's been the most powerful thing. My husband and I have been able to create our own business. We've a successful business. I've taken it into, doing my own businesses as well, and putting those actions with my desires and my faith has literally changed my life for the better. I've overcome depression. I've overcome, motherhood challenges with lots of things, anxieties. Doesn't mean that those go away, but I'm able to overcome and build upon those, build upon the desires I have, right? I'm able to put those action steps because I don't want to live in fear and anxiety and be anxious all my life, but having faith that I can do something and the desire and putting the action plan, I'm able to overcome it and see my results that I want to see. And with faith, says faith is a state of mind which may be induced by autosuggestion. And with that autosuggestion, it means you're filling your mind and you're learning those things that you need to do so that you're not having to question every time you want to go and do something. When you're building upon and applying these things in your life with faith, desire, and autosuggestion, ultimately you are building your intuition so that as life goes on, you are not always second guessing yourself. You may want to do some reflection, but your intuition is going to be there to guide you and give you the ultimate boost that you need to move forward. Because faith and autosuggestion is what is deep inside of us. So what are you filling your mind with? What actions are you doing in your life? Because if you're not utilizing them, they will not be the top thing that comes to mind. And so that won't be your guiding inner guidance with you and your intuition. So I've been so thankful that I've been able to apply these steps in my life and that I ultimately am able to discern and use my faith and desires to overcome challenges as well as see my dreams come true. And I know that each of us have that in us. And if you ever are doubting that or you want to build upon it, pick up the book Think and Grow Rich, read it from front to back, and you will be able to build these things inside of yourself so that you're able to do the same.